from Rome to San Francisco, essentially. And there would be all the animators, and I could see them, and there would be the shots. What we really want is maximum empathy as he makes the decision to tell the entire tale. And the look to them is not so much a look of a guy pulled out of a mood, but a guy who's staying inside the valor, virtue, truth, yes, truth. And I would give them direction of where to go with the shot and how to change it and what I thought the acting needed at that moment, and to try to each week, each day, each session, lift each moment up to my hope. This involved kind of becoming Draco myself physically. His hand is truly tucked into an instructional fist, shall we say. It's not a fist to fight with, but it's not a finger point, but the fist is tucked in. I'm doing it on the tape. Sean did a beautiful reading, but there he was with his glasses and at a podium. He didn't flap his wings, and he didn't roar, and he didn't try to make dragon gestures. That all had to be invented. Did you get my note about the hand gesture?
Yeah, what exactly do you want with that hand gesture?
Because all we got was like an open palm, it said open palm gesture or something like this.
After examining it a number of times, I found that the flick off the chin was distracting, and it wasn't a Connery kind of gesture. I felt it was important that each of the 80 animators and technical directors from ILM understand how an actor works, and more especially how this actor, Sean Connery, works. So I was troubled about how to do that. And I finally hit on this idea that turned out to be the right idea. I took every film he ever made, from Darby O'Gill and the Little People through Just Cause, which was the Spectrum at that point, and I cut out every close-up. I hired an editor just to do this, an assistant editor, to go through every Laserdisc and video and take every single close-up of Sean Connery out of every one of those 40 years of films. And I would sit there and I would go, anger, sarcasm, smarmy sexuality, vulnerability, pedagogical, eyebrow movement, whatever came to my mind, I would give these close-ups emotional value. And we built up categories, and that would then be made into tape. So when an animator would have a scene where Draco says, "I am the last one," right? That's rage. So go to the rage tape.
I am the last one.
I wanted Draco to relate to everybody, from a 6-year-old who only knew him as a talking dragon to a 60-year-old who's known every film or most of the films that Sean has been part of all these years. There's a little Connery nod. He doesn't need to be looking up because he did up on Wisest of Our Race. So he's like, he looks over. Long ago, when man was young and
the dragon already old, the wisest of our race took pity on man.
I felt it was part of my job to make Draco act. Destroy it. And then the arm, what happens is with the arm, when you do that, it kind of goes beyond its stopping point and then kind of comes back a little bit, if you know what I mean. It's like a destroy it, and it kind of comes back, because you can't just stop your arm dead. Once you make a strong motion, it kind of vibrates to a stop. If you stop it, but your fingers and your hand kind of still bounce a little bit. So, took a great gift and destroyed it.
A spoiled, ungrateful child was given a great gift and destroyed it.
The recording of the voice was done in 3 sessions. One before the film was shot in the Bahamas at Compass Point Studio. The second one was done in Rome at International Recording Studios after the film was shot, but before the animation was done. And the third one was a smaller session done in Rome after all 182 Draco shots were finished.
Then he betrayed you, just as he betrayed the dragon whose heart he broke. It's a lie, Dragon. Stop calling me Dragon!
I have horses and I ride, and I bought a book on horse anatomy, and I was paging through the book and had beautiful drawings of horse musculature and anatomy. And I began to look, and I thought, well, how does a horse run? You know, what goes on when a horse moves that makes it look so powerful and so beautiful? Maybe there's a key in here somehow to what would make a dragon look good to fly. You can't go to many dragon anatomy books in the library. So I began to realize how the horse musculature was all attached and how muscle groups worked. And the contraction and expansion of these muscle groups created different body flows and bunches and, you know, of musculature that gave it this power and rhythm. So I called up the guys and I said, look, I'm going to make a tape because I think I've got it figured out. If his act of flying involved the abdominals, the pectorals, and the lats, so that when he flew, he crunched, so that when he's flying, he's making it strong, right? So when he flies, the body is in motion. The idea of making Draco physical was something that obsessed me night and day, and it came about through experiments relating to nature, relating to oneself, and relating to Sean, and ultimately he walked with power, the power and grace of a lion, and he flew with tremendous joy, but incredible physical exertion. And the 4 ILM department heads and myself worked on a daily, if not hourly basis for 13 months to bring Draco to life, 1 frame at a time.
Well, how many dragons do you know?
In my opinion, you're only the author of the film if you're the writer, director, producer, editor, cameraman, composer, actor. Maybe then you're the auteur. Other than that, you're the chairman of a committee of collaborators who are your entire hopes for success or failure rides on the strength of that committee.
Wait! Better line in. Still dead.
Randy Edelman is a composer of enormous talents. Like John Williams, he is both classically trained, has an incredible ear for melody, understands how music and images work together, and is not always in pursuit of the new hip synthesizer effect, is much more thinking about how can I help either reinforce this story point, make a counterpoint music to this, or bring a large emotional dimension to this film.
We work very closely together. And Rob, it's interesting because he has different expectations as to what he wants the music, how the score functions in his movies, and they're a bit higher in that Rob will say, for instance, that he wants music to be tense, and that's a good direction when you're looking at a scene, but heroic or poignant and muscular. So it makes it much more difficult for me, but in the end, more interesting, and more interesting is always the way to go.